Hey y'all. Um, Hope everybody's having a good day. I'm so glad the sun is out. It's rained so much all winter here. We've had zero snow where I am, which I think is the first time this has ever happened in the winter time so far. But lots of rain. So I'm so happy that the sun is out today. So we are in parent pickup line waiting for Big Brother. Fisher took his nap today. He didn't nap the last 2 days, but today he took a nap and I feel so bad. I had to wake him up. He was sleeping so good. He had a busy morning. We had to go to feeding therapy today. If you've seen my other videos, you know that my younger son Fisher is on the autism spectrum and has sensory processing disorder and some issues with anxiety, and became a really restrictive eater. And he started feeding therapy, intensive feeding therapy, the week before Christmas. So today I want to talk about, and this is related to that, but in general, I want to talk about trusting our gut as moms. Period. If you're a mom, trust your gut. Nobody knows your child better than you. Now, as I've said before in some of my other videos, and most of you know, I grew up with an older sister who lived in a vegetative state for 33 years. So I spent a lot of my time growing up around doctors and nurses and in hospitals. And so I am in no way new to the special education world and being around medical personnel and dealing with doctors and things like that. So I'm very comfortable with it. And I know a lot of people aren't. If you haven't had that much experience with it, there's no reason that you would be. But I'm very comfortable with it. I'm comfortable with doctors. I feel like I usually can read them pretty well. And not just doctors, but therapists and anybody like that. So I love the two therapists that Fisher is working with now, that are doing his feeding therapy. Well, one's not a therapist. I shouldn't say two therapists. It's one feeding therapist in the room with him, and then a child psychologist who mostly observes and then kind of assists the feeding therapist when need be. So it started out really well, but we were doing really easy things. And then the last couple weeks, we kind of took a little bit of a jump. Fisher likes this one brand of mini chocolate chip muffins, and he won't eat any other flavor. He won't eat any other brand of chocolate chip muffin. No other muffins, period. So we decided 3 weeks ago, we were going to try to get him to start eating these banana muffins that I've been making since Lucas was little, because he had a lot of food allergies and he was allergic to dairy and eggs. And so I found a recipe for these vegan banana muffins, which aren't vegan now because I put milk in them now because Lucas has grown out of allergies and Fisher's never had any. But they taste the same. So anyway, so we tried to do that, and this was like the biggest jump that we've taken, and it did not go well, y'all. It started out as I expected it to. I expected him to resist. I expected him to be upset. I expected the crying and the screaming and rejection. But I just had this feeling that after the last two, that he just didn't like them. That it had nothing to do with the SPD or the anxiety, that he just didn't like them. And one of the questions I had to the therapist about a month ago that came across my mind. When you're doing this kind of therapy with children who have these aversions to food, and it's a new food that they've never had before, how do you know the difference between if they're avoiding because of SPD and anxiety or whatever, or if they just don't like it? How do you know the difference? And they said, well, usually if we do a few sessions here and we've done some sessions at home and they're just not having it and they're rejecting it, we just assume they just don't like it. And although Fisher only had 2 sessions with it, and he was supposed to have another session with him today, and I did make them and I did bring them today, there was a lot more resistance than what I had seen with other things. And there was gagging and just absolute refusal the whole time, more upset than he had been with some of the other things. And so I decided to bring some other options in with me to the appointment today. I brought another flavor of the same brand of muffin as the chocolate chip muffins that he likes. And because he showed interest in it, because the box has a picture on the back of all the different flavors that they have. And a couple weeks ago, he went to the box and he kept pointing at that picture. And so I bought some last week. I tried to just hand him one, not doing the therapy protocol or anything like that, just to see what he would do. And he rejected it. Threw him on the floor. Okay, that's what I was expecting. I was hopeful that he would try it, but I expected him not to. So I brought those with me today. And then I also had been thinking, what is similar to his Pirate Booty snack that he eats? That's been like his favorite thing right now, is his Pirate's Booty. He's been eating it for a long time, but recently it's been his first choice out of all of his crunchy snack foods that he eats. And if you don't know what Pirate's Booty is, it's like little puffs kind of in the shape of popcorn, and they have white cheddar powdery flavoring on the outside of them. And recently we've been having a harder time getting them. I usually go to Sam's Club and I buy the big box of 36 bags, but the last few times we went, they didn't have them, and they said they didn't have them in the store, period, anymore, and we've had to order them online the last couple weeks. And you can find the smaller packs of them in some of the other grocery stores, but there's been times that I've been and they didn't have them, and then other times they do. So, and when your child has a diet that is this limited, you really can't afford to cut out any options. So my thought process was, what is something similar to the Pirate's Booty that he might like that we can add to his list of foods? So I thought about rice cakes. Also, I'm trying to keep in mind of something that's a little bit healthier. Of course, I would rather him eat the rice cakes than the brand of party muffins that I know are loaded with sugar. So I chose rice cakes. But the other tricky part, I didn't know if I should just get plain ones or if I should get the white cheddar flavor ones. Because obviously he likes the flavor of white cheddar, but we've been told in the past, and you read articles just in general, not with special needs or anything, with babies, that when you first start introducing foods to them, when they first start eating solids, you want to present them with blander options, not stuff with a lot of seasonings and flavors and all that thing. Start out bland. So I bought both. I got both flavors to be on the safe side. I brought them in. So I could tell when I brought up my concern to the therapist and the child psychologist today about the muffins, the banana muffins. And I said, I just have this gut feeling that he just doesn't like it. And I brought these other options in. And I could tell at first they were kind of looking at each other. And I think their first reaction was that they kind of had a feeling that I just didn't want to put him through the muffins anymore because he was so upset the last 2 sessions. And I don't blame them for that. We haven't been working with them that long, so they don't know me that well. And they've both been doing this for a long time. And I'm sure they've had parents in the past who have had a hard time watching their child struggle. And of course, the ultimate goal is for them to come out on the other side and have a positive outcome and a healthier diet and a broader diet. And so of course, I don't like to see Fisher when he's upset. But because, like I said, I'm comfortable with doctors, I feel like I'm a pretty good judge of their character and their abilities and their knowledge, and I know this is to benefit him. So it had nothing to do with me being really upset because he was upset and just wanting to give up on muffins. I just knew in my mind that he just did not like them. So I think they were hesitant about it at first, but like I said, they're really great, and they're not going to force him to do something that I'm not okay with or don't agree with. So we decided to try out the rice cakes, and it was kind of a toss-up between, do we try the plain, start out with the most bland thing, or do we try the white cheddar flavor because we know he likes white cheddar. And so his feeding therapist, I can tell she's the kind that I feel like she kind of likes to go for things a little bit. She's cautious about it, but she likes to push a little bit. So she opted to do the white cheddar. And keep in mind, he has never had a rice cake. They have never been presented to him, so this is completely brand new. But we decided to go for it, and I'm not gonna lie, he didn't just eat it, he struggled with it. He never willingly took his bite. And when they do bites, it's like a teeny tiny, like he just has to get at least a crumb in his mouth. It's not like they make him take a full bite of something. He just has to, when they're starting out, get a crumb of it in his mouth. So they're, small pieces. But he was still much calmer. I mean, there was no comparison. He never willingly took the bite. A couple of times he did try to spit it out, which they don't allow him to do. He has to take his bite. So if he tries to spit it out, they just put it back in so that he learns that that's not an option. But he wasn't as upset. There wasn't all the screaming, and he recovered from it much quicker than he did with the muffins. And there was at one point towards the end, I could tell he was actually thinking about taking the bite, because she had it in her hand and she put it up, just holding it like this, and he looked at it and he pursed his lips together and he touched his lips to the tip of her finger twice while they were pursed together, and then he tried to refuse. So he actually thought about it, and so that was a good sign. And so we're gonna stick with that for now and keep going. I feel much better about it, and they said at the end of the appointment how great that was, and that they thought it was good that we went with that, and they're glad that you trusted your gut and we went with it. And so I just want to remind all you mamas who ever doubt if you're doing the right thing, none of us can ever know 100% of the time that we're doing what's best for our child. But sometimes you just know that something is off, something is not right. You know your child better than anyone. So just keep that in mind. As their parents, we're in charge of looking out for their best interest and advocating for them. And I'm not saying that you can't trust doctors. I'm not saying don't take what they have to say into consideration, and not just doctors, but therapists, nurses, whoever, caregivers. But, you know, just mama knows what's best, is all I'm trying to say. So, I'm going to get off here now because I think Lucas is about to get out of school, and I'm very excited with how it went today, and I'm very hopeful for the next several appointments, and I will keep you updated on how it goes, and hopefully before long he will just be eating those rice cakes and we can add another food to our small variety of foods, our small diet that we have right now. So yeah, you did so good today, didn't you? You did awesome eating your rice cakes. You say bye-bye? Say goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Good job. All right, y'all. I hope everybody has a great rest of their day, and we'll see you later.